Okay, everybody excited about today's episode. So a lot of times we get caught up on, we're just talking about in my business how we think we have problems. And then I interview people like our next guest and recognize that what we deal with, I really don't have very big problems. So today we have the honor of having Executive Director of Lassen Family Services, Angela Reed, and also Brett Lindsey, who is the Permanent Housing Coordinator. And Lassen Family Services does what I call God's work. They're working with survivors of domestic violence, survivors of sexual assault. They deal with victims of elder abuse, child abuse. They deal with some heavy, heavy stuff. And I am so blessed, and we are so blessed as a community to have these people in our corner and to have Lassen Family Services in our corner, assisting our friends and neighbors with some of the most horrific things that could happen to people. They provide housing, shelter, financial aid, and most importantly, just someone to talk to and someone to help. And I'm so grateful they're in our community. You should be too. Excited for you to listen to this episode.
Welcome to the North State Rocks podcast. Discover the hidden gems and extraordinary people of California's North State region. Join Perry Thompson, CEO of Hat Creek Construction and Materials, as he explores the vibrant communities and interesting neighbors that make our region a great place to live, work, and play. Tune in, be inspired, and rediscover the North State. This is your community. This is your story.
Super excited to have you. I am somewhat familiar with what you guys do. I work with Kimberly Johnson down in Redding. We're in a Vistage group together. So I'm aware of the massive challenges that you guys deal with. And every time I think that our business has really, really complex and difficult questions, I think about what Kimberly and her team deals with, and I can only imagine what you guys deal with, and it makes me realize we really don't have any problems. So the stuff that you guys deal with is heavy, but it's necessary, and I call it God's work. I mean, it's literally, I don't think there's a better thing to immerse yourselves in than what you guys do. But with that lead in, Angela, would you mind just kind of giving us just an overview of what Lassen Family Services does and how we could kind of bring awareness to the mission of what you guys are doing?
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for having us. We really appreciate any which way we can get the word out. I appreciate that. So Lassen Family Services, we are a huge organization, so it may take a minute because we offer a lot. We are a community-based organization now, a nonprofit 501c3 that began in 1979. It was incorporated, but services really started in 1977. This was done through a grassroots effort in order to assist survivors of domestic violence to get away, to make sure that they have a safe place to go to. It began with women allowing other women into their homes, but it's evolved since then. So the agency began with domestic violence and then added additional services throughout over the years. I like to say that we are a victim-centered organization because that's really what we are and what we provide. A little bit after the domestic violence created was the rape crisis. We did apply for and get the rape crisis grant. And so we also serve survivors for those that have been sexually assaulted now, but then also previously. So we refer to it as adults molested as children. And knowing that each survivor needs to or should receive services to move forward, because that's a huge impact on somebody and in their life, and they should never have to go through it alone.
Yeah.
So throughout that time, we have tons of other different programs that provide support to survivors. So One of those is Brett. He is our housing coordinator and has done amazing. Do you want to talk about some of the services that you offer, Brett?
That would be amazing.
Brett, do you have questions, Perry?
Well, yeah, let me just kind of interrupt and just say what is, permanent housing? And then, I know obviously understand the concept of temporary housing, right? Someone's in, a domestic violence situation or sexual assault situation. They need to get away and they need a safe place. And then kind of contrast, how those people find you, how you get them there, and just kind of the process, the logistics of, hey, I am in trouble. I'm making this call to Lassen Family Services. What happens next?
So also,
go ahead, Brett.
So on my side of things, all services start, I believe this is what Angela is going to say. So all services start when somebody reaches out to us, whether that's them reaching out to us. We have a 24/7 crisis line. So that's in use after hours, weekends, holidays. It's a 24/7 line that can be used by a survivor themselves reaching out to us, or that can be used by some of our community partners, including law enforcement, medical, reaching out to us and asking for an advocate. So that is what starts kind of getting somebody services or them coming into the office with us being open. And then it's, our initial intake and assessment of services. So on the housing side, the permanent housing side of things, we focus on the rebuilding and the supporting the survivors and meeting them where they're at and whatever that might look like. So it's kind of, there's a half and half. We help a lot of people relocate and help them get into something that is their end goal. So safe, permanent, secure housing that they can afford, that's not setting them up for failure. We can do that, basically any way that we can do that. We help financially. We can help in terms of advocacy with landlords, with different providers. We can accompany them and transport them to showings, to sign leases, and to set up their units. And so that's kind of the permanent housing side of things, is really that meeting them where they're at to make sure that they have that housing. We can also help them stay in a residence. We can assist them with a restraining order and getting what's called a move out order, and so that the perpetrator is moved out of their property, and then we can help them secure their actual property that they're in. And so I think that's really beneficial in a rural area like this, where there's not a lot of housing options, being able to support a survivor where they're at, and get security items, whether that looks like home and window locks, security cameras, just making sure they're supported where they're at.
Amazing. That's incredible. So Lassen County is, like you said, it's rural. We have some pretty strong winters, and it's not, it's a challenging place to, I'm sure, deal with housing. Can you kind of give me an idea of the numbers of people that you guys are dealing with, and basically in all traumas that you assist with?
So I'm glad that you asked. I do want to mention that every service that we provide is 100% confidential, and that includes anything. Yes, and they're free. They don't have to. And they don't have to comply. So some people have this belief that if I call the crisis line and I'm not willing to get a restraining order against somebody that has hit me or put me through emotional abuse, that we can't provide shelter if they don't get a restraining order. So it's not contingent upon anything. It's victim voice and choice is recognized and honored. Our
Amazing.
job is to empower from the time that first phone call and then on. We have, again, added programs over the years in order to support them. So the 24 hours, like Brett said, 24/7, 365, someone is always available, trained or volunteered. Volunteer also has to go through our training in order to provide services. We have recently added an elder and dependent abuse program. which we've always provided services to seniors. But because of this grant, it has now successfully let us open up more opportunities to serve. So domestic violence, rape crisis, we were only able to serve intimate partner violence, as well as if it's a family member or a roommate or something like that, then we can provide some sort of services in some way. With the elder and dependent, we can also, we opened it up to be able to provide services if they've had financial abuse. And so, as you know, like financial scams against the elderly are very, very high. And so we're there to help. I have the numbers of 2024 last year because our grant years serve differently. So it's from October 1st to September 30th. For the housing services, so the Housing First program, we have transitional housing, the elder and dependent abuse program, and the sexual assault response team. We provided 100 services to 168 victims. Services to 168 victims. And the amount of times that the individuals were assisted was 15,668. So it's unfortunately a problem within our county, and we are there to help. The other thing is for the domestic violence and rape crisis program. Oh my gosh. Sorry, edit that.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, the domestic violence, the domestic violence shelter. Thank you. Domestic violence shelter program, rape crisis, and rape crisis shelter. We served a total of 340 survivors with a total amount of 20,092 services in that year.
So can you give us some examples, Angela, of, 168 victims, 15,000 services, and then in the rape crisis and sexual assault, it's 340 victims, 20,000 services. So take a, I think everyone understands what a victim is, but what's an example of a service that you're doing repeatedly with these people? Because those numbers are dramatic. So kind of yes. Talk us through some of those.
Perfect. So the second number, the 368, was both domestic violence and rape crisis. It's not just rape crisis.
Oh, I see. So okay, understood.
Yes. This could be from the first interaction, so it's called crisis intervention. If they come into our offices or call our crisis line, that's the first service. So we provide emergency response. Let's say that they are running, they are in an unsafe place, they need to get away. We can go meet them somewhere. That's another service. We go and pick them up. If they say, I have nowhere to go, I don't have friends, I don't have family, I've been in isolation for a long time, we provide shelter. And so shelter that is available anywhere from 30 to 120 days. So then that's more. We provide food and clothing as a service, legal advocacy and accompaniment. They don't have to, survivors do not have to go through anything alone, is our goal. We are with them 100% every step of the way. And so that's like transportation, if they need assistance getting their life set up. So they've been isolated and they don't really know how to do much. We guide them in those steps with filling out applications, with getting them connected with food stamps or cash assistance, and career building. We assist with the college, and if they run into any barriers, like we encourage them to do it themselves, of course. But if they run into any barriers, we are there to help. If they are not getting a response from somebody, or if they're like, I did this and this, but it's still their outcome is not coming, then we step in, and that way we can connect to our resources as well.
Yeah. So really, I mean, not only you're dealing with the trauma that they've dealt with, but you're really helping them rebuild their lives, and obviously it takes that, they have to want to do that, and you're there to help them along the way. But certainly I imagine there is a period of time where they're just dealing with the trauma, of course. But I'm sure that having action, like, hey, let's get you, for example, on food stamps. Let's get you on some sort of cash assist program. Let's get you enrolled in some classes at Lassen College to help your career options. Those kinds of things just really help with depression and anxiety, right? The answer to that is action. And so you're basically there to assist them in rebuilding from the ground up, if they choose to, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's just incredible. So, we've talked a little bit about that. I want to now take a step back and talk to you, Angela and Brett, just a little bit about your pathway on why are you doing this work? How did you get into this work? Have you done it forever? And just kind of a brief history of your background. We'll start with you, Angela, and then we were able to talk a little bit with Brett offline, but we want to do it online and have him also kind of give us his story. But let's start with you, Angela.
Okay. I was going to college using Lassen Community College and also Feather River College. And somebody came to the college and presented about the services that they provide. Of Lassen Family Services coming in and speaking about it. And so this is something that is near and dear to my heart. I am a survivor myself. And so I went through life going through the motions of making sure that I have a career and making sure that I take the next right step and things like that, as well as with kids and family. But then when I went to the class, they offered 80 hours of domestic violence, rape, crisis counseling services. It's called our CIPC program, Crisis Intervention Peer Counseling Training. I successfully completed that, and I went to go volunteer and finish out my college. And within a couple of days, I was asked to be hired on. I've been with the agency for 15 years and have worked kind of my way up through that. And so I started as a shelter advocate, and it's been amazing. It's to watch the transformation of ladies and gentlemen, whoever comes to receive services, turning from victim to survivor. The minute they make that call, they go to survivor.
So, Angela, that's amazing. It's an incredible story. And I also think, I know I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but the fact that you are a survivor, I think makes you relatable. And also for the people that you're assisting, it says, look, I understand. I don't think if you haven't been through it, I can only imagine it's just very difficult to understand how traumatic and how difficult it is to put one foot in front of the other. Again, I can only imagine, and I'm so sorry you went through that. But I imagine it's a key element to connecting with people, going through that process. So incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Can we move over to Brett here for a second? Brett, kind of give us you're not old like me, Brett. So what brought you as a young person over to the agency?
So my experience with Lassen Family Services, it really started, I was doing property management for a local company in town, and I was managing rentals and facilitating those actions. And that was my first interaction with Lassen Family Services. Was actually their housing department had come into our agency and explained a little bit about what they did, but kind of moved forward with renting a couple of places from us, and that started my interactions with them. I started with Lassen Family Services as their legal advocate. They had an opening, and I left property management knowing I wanted to help people in the community more than I wanted to be a landlord. And so with that in mind, I came and started assisting them doing legal work, and then they had a position in their housing department open. And so I felt like with my background and the little bit of knowledge I did learn from that company, I felt like I could assist survivors to the best of their benefit. So I moved over to the housing department, and it's been nothing short of an experience, but it's been wonderful. I've been able to build on the relationships I've previously had as a landlord in the area, and been able to, I believe we've been able to work very well in the housing program.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, I think at your young age, the fact that you're, selflessly want to serve people, especially the most vulnerable in our community, is just awesome, Brett, and you, Angela, too. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. Like I said, we deal with some pretty big problems in business at times, and these kinds of conversations are always so grounding for me, and recognizing that the problems we deal with are not very significant at all. So God bless you both for doing what you do. I absolutely love it. So Angela, I'm going to switch back to you here for a second. So can you kind of talk about maybe some changing perceptions, right? So what are some of the myths that, I thought, for example, you just covered one just a moment ago, just saying, if I don't want to take action against, the person that is hurting me, or if I don't want to get a restrainer, if I don't want to do that stuff, you guys still have the ability to help. You're always there. So what other misconceptions can we try and break down right now? And I really want people to understand how accessible you are. So when you think you have nowhere to go, nowhere to turn, no one can help you. I think of like domestic violence, and I know it goes both ways, but most of the time, I think most of us think about, a male hurting a female and just being stronger and more physically powerful, and that person feeling like there's just nowhere they can turn. So if you're that person, I kind of bundled a couple questions there, but let's start with the 24/7 hotline. Let's get that phone number on the air right now, and then online tools, if any. And then I love that it's 24/7 no matter when, but let's say you make that call, it's midnight and you just got a horrific thing happen to you. It's midnight, you make the call. What is the next thing that happens at that moment, so they have a little bit of understanding of what that process looks like and how quickly help can be there for them?
Perfect. So our crisis line number is 530-257-5004. We also have the 888 number, which is 1-888-289-5004. And you can also reach out via web. So our website at lassenfamilyservices.org as well. There is a button where you can click back if you are searching us out. That takes you completely off of the page in order to provide safety for you. You hit that button, and then if the perpetrator or the person that is abusing you goes to look, it doesn't come up. So they can click the forward button. It will not come up to our page.
Amazing.
So when they call, it can be anywhere from, yes, let's meet, but we talk people. It's peer-to-peer counseling. What can we do for you? We're here to help. It's not their fault. It's definitely not their fault. Thank you so much for reaching out to us, because that's a huge first step. And so making sure that they understand that. Sometimes they know what they want, right? They are like, okay, I need shelter. I need shelter. I just need to get away. We then provide an advocate at that time. So we have 2 people on call. And the first person is to answer the phones. The second person is to respond. And so the emergency response goes into the night, dead of night. We'll meet you at a public place. And so it can't be at a person's home unless law enforcement is involved. Just due to staff safety, I want to make sure that they are okay too. And if they want law enforcement involved, then we can call law enforcement as well, or they can. Either way. If they just want to talk, if they want to come up, so we make sure that a safety plan is done. If they don't want to leave, say this is the first time that they reach out and they're not too sure. And it's, I love the whole not too bad because some of the misses. Emotional abuse is abuse. They don't have to hit you. I tell people a lot, I would rather have somebody come up and hit me one time and walk away from me than to take emotional abuse out every single day. We do a safety plan with them, make sure that they know of our resources. Again, our crisis line phone number is 530-257-5004. The other thing that we can offer is restraining orders. So if that's something that they are interested in as well, they write it out, of course. We meet with them. If it's something like a middle of the night, we set up an appointment. Walk-ins are available. We are there regardless. You don't have to set up an appointment. We don't have to say like, oh, it's lunchtime, I have to go. We are there. Our business hours and days are Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5. And then on Friday, we work 8 to noon or 9 to noon. But again, if anybody has a problem, please reach out because nobody should have to put up with that.
So that seems like a really great option is that walk-in. I mean, first of all, the phone options are amazing because when the trauma's happening or right after the trauma's happening, that's a great immediate response. But I also like, hey, this has been going on for a while. This is really troubling me. I love that you covered this is not their fault, and I think so many people get clouded in shame and guilt and, I mouthed off or, I didn't have dinner ready or, whatever it is. I love that you really covered that because there is no excuse for abuse. They're just, verbal, physical. There's no excuse for it. You're not at fault. But let's say something has been happening and I like the idea of just being able to walk in and maybe that's something, especially if you have an aggressive, in this case, I'm talking about domestic violence, but you have an aggressive partner that's kind of all over you when you're in the house, makes it very difficult to make a phone call without them knowing, right? So, but if you're out about your day and you're like, hey, I'm sick of this stuff happening each night or, however the frequency or even one time, doesn't matter. I'm sick of it. To being able to walk in. So where is your office located? And then what does it look like when you walk in and you need help?
Perfect. I'm going to let Brett touch on that. Brett?
Okay. Love it.
Our office is located at 1306 Riverside Drive in Susanville. So we're directly behind the high school up here. Some people might remember it as the old Northeastern or the old church in Susanville. So sometimes we have to give people those kinds of directions. But when you come into our office, the biggest thing is it's a comfortable, easy setting. We're an open environment, accepting of everybody that comes through the doors. You'll be greeted by our receptionist who will, if you're coming through the doors and you're in trauma or are going through something, getting a private room started for you so that you have that space to kind of collect yourself and maybe start trying to figure out what you're coming into the door for. So always have that, that comfortable space available, always have a change of scenery ready. So sometimes we find that doing paperwork, sometimes it's overwhelming and it's too much. So we've done walks around the building, and we've done walks down to the little river that's across the street from us. So we just like to have a comfortable, open environment that's welcoming for everybody, no matter the situation.
Amazing. Yeah, I love that. And I love that private room, because I imagine, if you're, hey, this is, again, a lot of times I think people wrongly are filled with shame and embarrassment, and and so that ability to kind of, let's just get you in a private room, let's just make you understand this is not your fault, take it some time, collect your thoughts, and just be in a safe space where nothing can happen to you. In that space, nothing bad can happen to you. Sounds like just an amazing resource for people. And the awareness is what we're trying to get out through this podcast, right? Of just what are your options are, because I can't imagine how alone you feel. And then getting around organizations like you recognize, hey, you're not alone. This happens a lot, unfortunately. It's not your fault. And there are tremendous resources here to help you get out of the situation or cope with the situation until... So yeah, it's just an incredible what you guys are doing. I'm so grateful that you guys exist in our community, and I'm so grateful that you guys reached out to get some time and try and get some more awareness out. So my question now to both of you is, what can I be doing? What can other businesses be doing to help the cause? What can we do to be more proactive in assisting your guys' mission and the people that utilize your services?
So one thing that we always
That's
encourage.
A good question.
We got the delay. We got the delay going thing here, Angela. Sorry. So we're gonna. All right, Brett, you're going, and then we'll have Angela follow up.
So the one thing that we always strive for businesses to do, whether it's during October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and that's why we're so thankful that you were able to get us on this month. But what we always stress to businesses, individuals, is just to never let the conversation die. Always make sure you know your resources, your local resources, and the resources where you're at of domestic violence, the sexual assault, and the other programs and the other things that can be affecting, and always know how to best help, whether it's your employees, whether it's somebody coming through the door. We want everybody to know what Lassen Family Services does. We want everybody to know where Lassen Family Services is, and who you can call when you're going through a situation. We don't ever want there to be the question of, what time of day is it? Who is this organization? What do they do? We really just want, every business, we want every individual in the area to be aware of our services. We want them to continue the talk even when we're not there. We want these conversations to be happening in spaces where we might not have even found ourselves being able to be brought into yet. We just want, domestic violence, sexual assault, child and elder abuse to be on everybody's minds, and the ways that we can stop it.
Amazing. Angela, you have a follow-up to that?
Yes. So hang our flyers. We have flyers that are everywhere, and in order to get the word out, and our brochures. Our biggest thing is making sure that we are connected with other agencies, because while Lassen is small, we are mighty in the services that we provide. It's pretty amazing. So anywhere from Doyle, Herlong, Beaver, all of those places, we serve all of them. The other thing is we do events throughout the year. In October, with October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we hang ribbons on the poles of Uptown, purple ribbons. And so if you see purple ribbons, that's why. We also do events. So we have our Hoedown coming up. It's on October 18th at starts at 4 p.m. at the Veterans Hall, and businesses are welcome to sponsor us. Hand out cards, make sure that you have our brochures and pamphlets, like Brett said. Yep. The other fun thing that we do, because part of it is fundraising and outreach, right? The biggest part, and education, making sure that everybody knows on how to help and what to watch out for. So if you see a friend or a coworker that starts to get silent or has marks on them or has a change of pattern of behavior, reach out. Don't be like, well, I didn't because I was, embarrassed, or I didn't want to interrupt on or intervene on their lives. Just say, hey, could you want to go for a coffee? Is there anything I can do? Anyway, we've got another thing that's fun. It's called You've Been Ghosted. And so we put little ghosts around people's yards if you want somebody to be ghosted. It's kind of like, the pelicans, the flock. You've been flocked. Instead, it's little ghosts for the month of October. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's
nice.
Oh, Brett can tell you about the coffees too.
Mm-hmm. And so for the whole month of October, we've worked with the local coffee shops in Susanville. So that's Joe's Coffee, Smoking Bean Coffee at the casino, as well as Blue Ox Coffee. We were able to partner with them where a portion of their proceeds for every drink sold, they have signature drinks for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and a portion of proceeds for each one of those drinks is given back to Lassen Family Services and a direct donation. So the collaboration between organizations and businesses is another key aspect. We find ourselves regularly partnering with local businesses as well as I believe coming into this next year, maybe some not local businesses. It looks like we're going to be starting to partner with maybe like the Reno Aces and the Tahoe Night Monsters, which is an affiliate of the NHL in Tahoe. So just trying to, like Angie said, trying to get the education out into the community, because that's a big key in the preventative measures and getting the services out there and getting our organization out there. So we're very, very thrilled for that as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's talk about the local businesses real quick. So you said Joe's Coffee, Blue Ox, and then the third one. What was the name of the one at the casino?
It's the Smoking Bean Coffee Shop.
Smoking Bean. Okay. First of all, shout out to those local businesses. We're obviously big fans of local businesses because we are one. But the fact that they're voluntarily, giving a portion of their proceeds. And so is each one of them a specific drink, or are some of them all drinks? And then how, if you're a customer that shops at those places, like I go to Joe's, haven't been to Blue Ox or Smoking Bean yet, but I'm going to have to add that to my list just because they're out there supporting you guys. But is it a specific drink at every location, or how does it work? So if we want to support you by buying our coffee.
So each one of the locations, they have a different name for each of the drinks, and they have a different flavor combination. We've left it up to the coffee maestros, if you will. We figured that they know their stuff better than us, so we let them create their drinks. More often than not, it's easier if you just tell them that you want to buy the drink that helps Lassen Family Services. At Joe's Coffee Shop, their drink is called the Let the Light Shine Through You. At Smoking Bean, they named it the Amethyst Awareness, and at Blue Ox, they named it Purple Passion. So all three of the companies went through and made a coffee. Since purple is the color for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, they went through and made a purple or kind of a lavender color. And then they all have flyers up kind of letting the community know of this fundraiser that's going on. And so they're all very much aware. All of their employees are aware. If you go through the line and just, explain that you want the coffee that's going to help Lassen Family Services, they'll know what you're talking about.
Nice.
So Lassen Family Services, I know we've talked a lot about the services that we do provide, and a lot about what we can do as an organization. But I think one of the main things that we want to bring conversation too is we are also a community agency. And so what that means is we also receive, whether that be on our crisis line or people coming into our office, we receive a very regular amount of just community members that might not know where to go, whether they need to apply for assistance, whether that looks like, cash aid, food stamps, their Medi-Cal. They might not, they might have a case with Child and Family Services and they don't know who that is. So we find ourselves a lot being that kind of that community pillar, if you will, giving direction to a lot of different other agencies, pointing people in the right direction, connecting them with other resources in the community. And so we always, as busy as I know we are very busy being a crisis agency, but we also do want to stress to other individuals, other organizations that might be watching, what we want to do is we want to continue to be that community organization that can, if we can't help somebody, we don't want to just kind of turn them out of our doors and let them know that we can't help them. We want to at least point them in the right direction of somebody that can help, an organization or somebody in the town that can help. So we find ourselves doing a lot of collaboration and working with a lot of the different organizations in town. I know in housing, I work very closely with the county housing and grants department, the Salvation Army, Crossroads, your leaders out there that do a lot in the housing field. But the organization as a whole, I think we have a very big community aspect to us. And so I think that just kind of goes intertwined into the difficulties of the agency, because we also have to balance all that while also being a crisis agency. So I think that adds a certain level of intricacy when we're trying to balance, during summertime, we're going to the fair and we're doing all these events and different things like that. And so it's finding the staff that are supposed to be, doing housing, or our director, or whatever staff it might be, still having to get them to these different things, community events, trainings, different things like that. And we're very beneficial, and I think it's very important, but it just adds to the level of intricacy of what we do.
Amazing.
I will say that currently, Lassen Family Services, one more thing I want to bring attention to for Lassen Family Services is we are a part of two local boards that are starting to, I think, get a little more relevance in the area. One of them is called the NorCal COC, or the Continuum of Care, and then the other is the YAB, which stands for Youth Action Board. So those are two boards throughout Lassen County. Lassen Family Services sits on one of them as a voting member, and I sit on both of those boards as the voting member. And what that is it's a collaboration between organizations in the community, all of our major players, including law enforcement, medical, all of your county providers, again, like the Salvation Army, Crossroads, all the organizations that have a hand in making the community better. And what we do is we collaborate regularly to make sure that when we're applying for grants, whether it be our organization or other organizations, we aren't stepping on each other's toes, we aren't going against each other, that we aren't, it's a collaboration to make sure that we're helping the community as best as we can. Originally, COCs were brought to the state of California to address homelessness, and in large areas like Alameda and Orange County, you've seen the COCs be able to pick up their own nonprofit status, and they themselves have applied for grants and kind of become their own separate entity. But what we've seen over the last 10 or 15 years is the COCs have homelessness is still a major issue in the area, but they've kind of looked at all the other issues affecting homelessness, such as mental health, substance use, domestic violence, sexual assault. And so the collaboration on these boards and between these organizations of how we can better serve survivors, whether that be, the overlap when somebody is in our office and then goes into another office somewhere else, looking at doing trauma-informed training, Lassen Family Services holding trauma-informed training so other organizations have that same approach with survivors across the board, because what we found is the overlap between survivors survivors in these communities is really really high. And so that's one of the most constructive conversations coming away from that right now, is better supporting our survivors at every crossroads that they have, and every door that they walk into, making sure that they're getting as much support as possible. And then on the flip side of that, the Youth Action Board, which focuses on foster youth as well as youth who have lived experience in anything that adversely affects them, and getting their voice and making sure they're brought to the table, and also making sure that they have a voice in how these organizations can better serve them. So really what we're trying to do is make those constructive conversations on the ground with the community, with the people that have lived experience. So the survivors that have gone through these processes, and they can help us figure out how we can do better. They can kind of tell us the areas we were falling short, and really make those collaborative meetings. And so I just recently got back from a training on how to establish our how to strengthen and establish our position on that COC. And so we're really, really excited to kind of bring that conversation to Lassen County as a whole, and to collaborate with some of our larger counties, like Shasta, and the city of Reading, and kind of see what they've been able to do, and maybe, take it away from them. Because I think that a lot of the area, I think being a rural area up here, we're forgotten about a lot of the times, when these conversations are brought forward to like the state level. And so making sure that we have a board that can represent the community, and the local area as a whole, that can then report to the state, and make sure that our voice in this area is heard, I think is really, really beneficial. So we're really excited to be a part of that as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for covering that. So I think of the most vulnerable, we've talked about, everybody that you guys help is dealing with, a lot of trauma, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of, they need help, right? The ones that I worry the most about would be probably children and elders that maybe just don't have the ability to make a phone call, to get online. So I think it's up to, so my question is, if you're a community member and you believe that an elder is being abused, that can't make that call themselves, or a child is being abused that can't make that call themselves, what do we do as communities? Does that, I'm assuming that same phone number works, and then kind of talk us through that. I mean, a lot of people are like, hey, it's not, I don't want to step in the middle of something. Maybe I'm perceiving it wrong. I'm even if you're not sure, is it okay to call and say, I'm not positive. It's just a sense that I have. Tell us how that is best handled as individuals in the community.
Absolutely. And we do see some, a majority of the, I want to say a majority, but some of the calls we get into the crisis line are just that right there. They're family members, neighbors, coworkers, friends that are concerned. They're maybe looking for resources, and they're just like, hey, how do we help this person out when they finally ask for help? And so, or hey, we've been seeing this, how do we go about it? And I think that is a large part of why we're trying to get out and do these educational pieces. And so, so to answer your question, yes, at any time, anybody can call the crisis line. You don't have to be the victim yourself. You can call crisis line and you can get resources, you can get information, you can get how would I go about this? And we can try to give you as generalized answers. Now, we do say every case is different and it's case by case, but nonetheless, you can always call and we can kind of try to give you generalized, this is what you should do. In the terms of the elder population, so the big thing that we also want to bring forward is Lassen Family Services. We do provide support to victims of elder abuse. And we provide a large part of that is supportive services as well. If you do notice somebody actively being abused and that their safety is, is jeopardized, definitely call law enforcement and call 911. But outside of that, call us. You can make an anonymous APS report, or you can just make an APS report, and that will go to Adult Protective Services, which is a county agency, but they will take that APS report and they will follow it up and do what they need to do. Us as an agency, we are required to make APS reports. So if the elder comes to us, we sometimes are required to make APS reports and then get that report over to them. And so regardless of if you refer them to us or you do that report, that is, we always say, if you think that there's an elder being abused, please do an APS report. You can get one offline. You can come into our office and we can give you a blank one. You can go to APS's website and get a blank one as well. For children seeking services, again, anybody can call the crisis line and we can give them information and resources. As Lassen Family Services, we can help anybody over the age of 12 and older, and it's completely confidential. So that is one thing that we find a lot of people don't know about that, especially, some people think that they might have to be 16 or 18 or whatnot to come through our doors. We are able to help somebody as long as they're 12 or older, and it is completely confidential. And so what we have found is we do have youth that do call the crisis line, and then we do a typical response or an intake as we would with a normal person. But outside of that, just like if, an elder is being abused, please call law enforcement. Please make a CFS report, which is Child and Family Services, the precursor to Child Protective Services. So please, if you notice any type of abuse besides calling us and getting resources, take that step and make a report. Those agencies would rather have a report come in and then have to close it out for, not being factual than not have that report come in and it be taken, what it could be. So please always make that report.
Excellent. Thank you, Brett. Thank you. Okay, so Angela, in closing, while we have you here, anything that you would like to add that we may not have covered?
I do want to explain that our grants are given to us, and with the statement or answering one of the questions as, how will you sustain this if this funding goes away? And so the biggest thing is to get those sponsors and other people that can assist in funding us besides California Office of Emergency Services. Because while we'd like to state that we could do the services without the funding of that, we just don't have enough support to be able to continue to keep with a grant if we lose it, but we would, I know our staff and I know our volunteers, and they would still provide assistance.
Yeah. Well, we all need to be working together to make sure that doesn't happen, that there's not a funding gap, because what you do is too important to let that happen. I want to thank you both for your time on today and your just really helping us understand the vast array of resources that you guys provide. You have phone numbers, you have web ability. You're able to assist with, obviously domestic violence, with rape and sexual assault, and then also elders, and then children down as low as 12 years old can be handled anonymously. And you guys are also just a terrific point of contact to help people with, hey, I cannot get my food stamps going. You're great at putting them with the right resources to help them get their life back on track. You're terrific with helping people get careers going when they are struggling in some sort of, something that they've been through, traumatic. Anyway, I just love what you guys do. I'm so grateful that you're out there doing it. I'm so appreciative of the time that you shared with today and that everything that you're doing in our community. God bless you. It's just amazing. And thank you so much for everything that you do.